AI is all the rage, but there's still a lot of questions on how it's going to impact SEO and search. So I spoke with Craig Carbonniere from Milestone Marketing about the situation. And I asked him questions like, what is generative AI SEO? How can I ensure content generated by AI aligns with search intent? How do I maintain authenticity and uniqueness in my content? And tips to start right now. Let's go. Craig, nice to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Chat. Thanks for being on the InnSync Show, man. Round two.
Glad to be back. Thanks, Cory. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We have Craig Carbonniere. He's with Milestone. He's one of the, leaders in digital marketing in hotels, specifically in SEO. I'm stoked to have him on, chat a little bit about what's all the rage these days, AI. But few conversations that I've heard how AI is going to impact search. So we're going to talk about generative AI and its impact on SEO. Welcome aboard, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I know this is trending would be an understatement. I think it's more AI is taking over. And I think there's a lot of questions people have. So looking forward to the conversation.
Fantastic. So question one, we're going to start the basics here. So what is generative AI and how is it impacting SEO, i.e. search?
Sure. I know a lot of us marketers have already at this stage played around with it, and maybe we've even adopted it, but recognizing the fundamentals, right? So it's essentially a trained technology to generate data from some sort of input, right? And that could be us inputting data or some other technology, but it's relying on a database, right? And it leverages things like machine learning and natural language processing to generate a response, right? Mm-hmm. So when we think of the databases, right, if we think of the tools today, the most common ones that people are talking about. So ChatGPT, that's OpenAI. Microsoft, Bing has a chat generative AI technology. Google has their own. Those are all leveraging their own database. That's where SEO comes in. So when we think about, okay, Google's playing around with AI, they're leaning on their database. What can we do as search marketers to influence or play some sort of role in that process? I know when working with marketers, there are two themes that often come into play. One is velocity. I'm using these tools to do more, right? I'm producing more content. I'm taking full advantage of this technology. But I'm also, based on what I'm assuming, I'd like to improve the quality, right? I want to lean on some of these technologies to take the human error out of it. So I've seen this play out in website content, in ad copy, in email marketing campaigns. I've even seen our team use it for image optimization, trying to identify what the quality is of images, leveraging AI. And then maybe even some of the technical things of SEO, things like meta descriptions and alt tags and all of those kind of things have been around for years and years.
Nice. Yeah, one of the things I felt was very interesting and something to recall is that this concept of balance, right? I talked to a lot of people that have never even explored ChatGPT. It's so overwhelming right now. There's so much, they've never opened it up. Or I've got the lazy marketer who's gone all in. They do everything on AI. It's that delicate, perfect balance. And now I'm seeing a lot of, in fact, I just did a quick, interesting 90-day SEO plan using ChatGPT. And one of the elements on it was be careful of duplicate content, because now I'm seeing 5 articles of the same things, and we have to be. And I'm assuming that if you're all in on using these tools, which I think are extremely useful, you have to be you have to be respective of the drawbacks. I'm assuming some of this could hurt you, right?
Google has made a statement that as long as the quality, as long as the content is of high quality, and I actually have a screenshot that I took of kind of the adjustment in their perspective, right? Initially, it was content by humans for humans, right? There's a slight verbiage change where it's high quality content that's developed for humans. So they don't care how it's generated, just that it solves a problem and answers a question. It's filling a need that people have. Now, I think it's our responsibility as marketers knowing, okay, how does this fall into our marketing calendar and our content strategy? But we'll get to that in just a moment. But I think generally just recognizing that this is a great resource and this is something you should test, you should play around with and seeing how it might fit into your day-to-day.
Love it. Now, using a working example, Craig, of this interview, I used ChatGPT to source my questions for you.
Love it.
Number 2 that ChatGPT-4 gave to me, because now I'm a proud paid member of 4. It's amazing. How can I ensure the content generated by AI aligns with search intent?
So I think in every situation, those examples, those tools that I had mentioned, they require your input.
Yep.
Right. So if hopefully as marketers, we have a pulse on what people are talking about and where the gaps are in my content strategy. I want to fill those. An example, right? Write a social media post on whatever that is, right? XYZ. And they'll give you content for that purpose. I think where this will evolve us as an industry is prioritizing the content intelligence side, right? Remember the input. What should I talk about? Yep. There's nothing, to my knowledge, on the market that's really solving that particular problem. It's assuming that you're going to have the right levers and the right knowledge and understanding that, hey, I need to produce content about this. So things like, what should I write about? What is the search interest of that prompt? Is there volume on Google of people searching for things to do in downtown San Diego, right? How competitive is that? And I think then it's about, okay, once I now am writing content based on the demand and the interest, the output, once I receive that from those tools, how am I optimizing it? And then that goes back to, okay, are you leveraging AI for that? Are you leveraging just your SEO teams or your agency to optimize that post with all the meta descriptions and alt tags and everything I discussed earlier? So I think that is still an area where most of those who have already adopted ChatGPT or other tools into their workflow can layer on to make that content a lot more effective.
Love that. Great stuff. Question 3 touches on what I mentioned earlier to you, and it's how do you maintain authenticity and uniqueness in content when you're using generative AI?
So I think it's a great question too, Cory, because I think that's probably one of the first questions to ask your marketing team is, okay, this will make our jobs more efficient. Great, right? That's an important aspect, but we don't want to lose sight of what makes us unique today, right? And how is this tool going to enhance, right, what we already have? So I think the first conversation is collaboration, right? Are we incorporating this into our workflows? Is there any sort of moderation that's happening? I think just the idea of producing more content, of course, that's going to solve that problem. But is this part of an overall marketing calendar? Is this part of a content strategy? Are we solving a problem that we have internally? And then I think there are tools on the market. I know, shout out to Milestone. I know that workflows and how marketers collaborate with these tools to make sure it aligns with that brand strategy, I think is critical. The second thing, and this is playing out right now, is learning tone of voice, right? And learning, is this in a way that I would say it, or is it robotic? And we've all seen those social media posts where we're like, you know what, that was written by ChatGPT, right? Maybe it's got some hallmarks of it that we feel, you know what, I think that there was some kind of supplement. No shame, but I think to bring that closer in line with how we write naturally, it does require collaboration. And in some cases, maybe in the earlier stages, expect that you're going to need to put in just as much effort as you do today to bring that content to make it more natural. Absolutely. Right? So getting back in there and making tweaks and fine tuning it. I find myself doing that often. And I think that's how to bridge the gap. I think over time, you're going to find tools, like I had mentioned, AI tools and content tools will have that baked in. So you could say, hey, write this in a storytelling voice, right? Or write this in a more formal tone. And you'll find that the output is much closer to how you have approached your audience.
Really good point. A couple of things on that. Ironically, for us to create or maintain our uniqueness, I'm actually exercising that exactly right now. We're working backwards. We do an interview, like right now, you and I are doing this content you can't find anywhere else except right here, right now with us, right? So we mirror this, extract the info, the data, or the content from this, and then use a workflow to create a piece of content that's completely unique, also optimized for search. Now, in addition to that, the voice. I've gone through recently a workshop that I just completed, and training ChatGPT using your existing content. So it could be your brand PDF guide, could be your voice, could be your taglines. Inputting that all into ChatGPT first, train it, make sure that it understands the input that you gave it, and then give it instructions. And it has been absolutely incredible, the output that we're getting. Yes, still needs to be tweaked, but the cheekiness and the wit and boldness and humor was blown away.
And I think that goes back to my one of my earlier points too, Cory, is the quality of this content. Don't lose sight that while I know some of these new technology, they can be concerning at first, but the reality is I make a lot of mistakes on a daily basis. I'm sure most people feel the same, right? There's human error in everything that we do. I personally would love for something to catch that. And things like, even in our day-to-day, like things like Grammarly or some of those other writing tools that are incorporating AI now into the software to make it of higher quality. I'm really excited about that opportunity, right? There's stuff we're going to miss. And I think if there's kind of something to catch it, I'll feel much better.
Funny thing you say that. Have you seen the intentional typos now? People are putting typos in their subject lines and in their cold emails to make it seem less perfect and less machine generated.
I can see the value in that. I understand that for sure.
Because people have their spidey senses up, right? It's AI wrote that, or hey, it's a robot down the street. Come on, bring on humanity. Because that is one of the things that I was, you and I talked, I think, about the big fail at a Japanese hotel that implemented a robot at check-in. It failed miserably, and I think our industry has not done a great job of implementing tech appropriately And getting back to what we were talking about, it's this swing towards back to humanity. Yes, we love the tools, but I think a lot of people are like, I still need that warmth and kindness and things that humanity brings. And I'm seeing people being like super cautiously, like a horrible cold call or a pitch slap on LinkedIn. Everybody gets totally irritated with it. So I'm glad to see that, because I still want to be very conscious that we use tech responsible.
And I remember talking about this, Cory. At the end of the day, this is what makes such a wonderful opportunity for our industry in hospitality, right? We're in the hospitality business. So obviously anything we're doing, we have to keep the guests front and center.
Yes.
And
Always.
so whether it's producing content that solves their needs, right? Answers their questions, dives deeper into a subject that maybe we've not explored before, but we can't, this is one of those shiny objects, right? We can't go to the extreme where we're losing sight of what makes our industry so important. And hopefully, I think with this program and with others, like we're starting to figure out, okay, where does this fit in to our hotel or our strategy, and then make the most of it. I'm confident that this is a solution that should be part of that formula. But again, the adoption of that should follow on your terms, and hopefully play around with it. If you have questions about it, I'm sure there are experts like yourself, Cory, that can guide people through that journey. But let's not lose sight. We're in hospitality.
Absolutely. This is a great segue into my last question. Question 4 for you is, those that are just overwhelmed, ChatGPT, as I mentioned before, have never even thought about where to start, and now search, it's not one of those impulse things that immediately you do and you get results. It's a long play. So the sooner, we all know it's coming, the sooner we get on board with generative AI search. You did that amazing walkthrough last time. I'm like blown away. This is where things are going. Where should we start as hoteliers and jump on it as starting with generative AI SEO?
My counterpart referred to this as the Polar Express. You should get on. You should get on soon.
Yep.
And figure out what this means for your job. I don't see any downside in kind of testing different tools and different strategies and figuring out what works best for you. And I think testing that at a small scale, when I first started using ChatGPT, I was just using that for personal reasons, right? I think I wrote we had a friend who was moving into a home we used to rent, and she wanted a reference letter. So just test the capabilities. Can I use that? I don't know about you, Cory. I don't want to really start seeing a blank screen expecting the words to flow. It's probably that's not expected. So I use that tool, and I just figured out, okay, what are the capabilities and how could this be used? Tying that back to SEO, there's known challenges in our industry, right? Doing less with more, I think, is a theme that we've seen play out the last few years. Obviously, this could help solve that problem where we're leveraging technology to help us in our day-to-day job. But again, it goes back to my last point. Don't lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish, right? Fill a void, fill a need. I would recommend that you try and embed it into some process that you're doing already, right? Whether it's, hey, I want my marketing team to, and this is just I want them to write a blog post every month and throw it onto the website. Okay, maybe I have some sort of cadence, right? I'm going to embed ChatGPT into that and figure out, okay, is this going to solve that problem? Am I going to do all the things that I had mentioned before from an SEO perspective to optimize that content? But then how am I bringing consistency? And I think that's really where these tools are going to stand out and be a good fit for a lot of different marketers.
Love that. Great insight. So I'm assuming following the tried and true strategy existing of solving acute pain points for your prospects is still the road ahead, regardless if it's generative AI or just regular search. Stay on that path of adding value, solving problems, and you're probably headed in the right direction.
I love that, Cory. Let's think about SEO 101.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I'm trying to solve either a missing piece of content or answer a question that my consumer or my guest has. That's where marketing comes in. That's where SEO comes in, right? If I'm doing all these things right, hey, if I'm producing enough content, if I'm powering it out, and I'm fine with how that's played out, obviously, as these new AI features start making their way into search, you're only going to benefit. If you find that, hey, you're missing in some areas, then hey, leverage some of these other tools to help bring you to that point. But bringing it 101, solving problems for consumers, that's marketing, right? To elevate my own content, that's SEO, right? And these tools can help with that.
Love that. Man, great discussion as always. Before we break, dude, what have you been up to lately? And where can people find you? I know where I can find you, but share that with our audience here.
Oh, this is fun. As our relationship has developed, Cory, I appreciate the network that we've created and the community we've created on LinkedIn. Connect with me there, mention the podcast. I look forward to and honored to be part of anyone's network who wants to add me. In my full time, I work with Milestone Inc. You can check us out. We do a lot of work within hospitality and other industries. If this sounds interesting, or if you think, hey, I'd like to learn more about that, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Love that, man. You're a huge advocate, big helper. I love that. You always have answers when I have harebrained ideas or questions I got to ask. Man, I really appreciate all your insights, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you better, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cory.